Hello, hello, I'm April and welcome to Creativity Tips. Let's make a buzzing bee. You will need paper, colored pencils, and markers. Let's start by lightly sketching a flower. Bees love visiting flowers to feed on the nectar and pollen. Next, lightly sketch your bee. Start with the three main parts, which are the head, thorax, and abdomen. When finished, add eyes, antenna, legs, and wings. Ready for a creativity tip? Let's begin coloring the bee. They are covered with fur. You can show the strands of hair by making short, overlapping marks. Pollen grains get caught in their fur as they move from flower to flower. This transfer of pollen is called pollination. Add some color and detail to your flower. Use your markers to outline your image. This will add depth and complexity to your photo.
We're going to start by drawing some nice pink wriggly worms to go on our compost. I'm using a couple of different colored pencils to basically scribble a base color. You can use crayons, pencils, markers, even watercolors, whatever you like really, to create some nice light pink texture. Draw the shape of your worm over the top. So I'm going to do a nice long wriggly one. And then I'm going to draw some lines along the body like this. And then just for fun, at the top, I think I'm gonna give our worm a little smiley face. We're just gonna grab some scissors and just very carefully cut this little guy out, being careful to keep those nice rounded wiggly edges. There we are. One worm, and you can obviously do as many as you like. Then you can use whichever materials you like, a mixture of crayons, pencils, markers, pastels, to create some more fun pieces of food scraps to go on your compost bin. So I've used lots of different materials here, create some banana peel, some pieces of cucumber, some onion peel, some leaves, an avocado pit. Yeah, do as many as you like and get as creative with the colors as you like as well. The brighter the better, in my opinion. Once you've finished with your collage pieces, you also need to create your nice earthy background for them to go on. Now for this one, I used a mixture of watercolor pencils, which I then mixed with water to create like a big wash over the whole paper, and then I used lots of different brown crayons of different shades.
Hello, I'm James from Crayola. Welcome to Creativity Tips. In today's Earth Day episode, we will be creating Pollinator Portraits. During spring and summer, you may notice insects traveling from plant to plant, drinking nectar and transporting pollen grains. These creatures are called pollinators. Their hard work enables us to enjoy our favorite fruits and vegetables. For this collage activity, you will need pencils, paper, paint, crayons, glue, and scissors. Let's begin by choosing your favorite pollinator. I'm drawing a butterfly, but you can choose to draw any insect pollinator. Are you ready for a creativity tip? Butterflies are symmetrical, so start by folding the paper in half. On the folded edge, draw and cut the outside of the butterfly and wing. Open the paper and paint the details of the wing. Fold the paper in half and gently press down. Open the paper and notice that both sides are identical. While the paper is drying, let's create a flower. Using construction paper, draw and cut out the disc floret and petals. Paste the flower and pollinator on your paper. How will you show your pollinator portrait to family and friends?
Grab your art materials and let's get started. So to start drawing the center of a sunflower, I like using a cap like this to kind of use as my guide to make a perfect circle. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trace along just so I can get the center of the sunflower. So that should give me a perfect circle. Then the next thing I do is I like thinking of it as almost like a clock. So this could be 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. These are going to be indicators as to where I'm going to start the petals. So I'll draw a few of these, and this is usually how I do it. I do wide strokes and create these almond shapes to make them look like petals. And I fill them in with this brush pen. And I'll go all the way around until I have lots and lots of petals. It's nice to get big giant strokes, and you can make them any size you need them to be. They don't have to be perfect because you can always fill in as you go. So you're gonna get a full bloom that looks like this. I'm gonna grab a very dark brown. I have this one, and then I'm gonna focus on doing the center of the sunflower. So this doesn't have to be perfect, and I just start filling it in. You can make it as wide as you need it to be or as small. It's up to you. So once it's filled in, it feels like a pretty good sized circle. I'll get a green crayon. Luckily I have this one, which is a bold and bright green crayon, and I'll just do little circles all around. They're almost like polka dots. You kind of let them bounce around in this space over here. Okay, there we go. Next, I'll take this lighter brown, and I'm going to outline each one of these. I'll do a few at a time, and then I'll fill them all in. Because afterwards, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna color around these green little circles. And so now what I'm gonna do is go in with my marker and start filling in these shapes. And at the same time, that original yellow circle, I'm gonna be tracing over it so that we know where that circle is at. So just using a big stroke. And if it's a little bit uneven, that's okay. And that should complete the outer side of the sunflower. That is very similar to the flower that is in Frida Kahlo's flower crown. And then if I wanted to do the stem, what I'll do is I'll make a line straight down this way, then put a leaf sticking out, and I make an interesting stroke like that. Now if I want a leaf coming forward, I kind of think of it as a little triangle. And if I want it bigger, I can just add to it. That's the nice thing about these markers. And there you go. That's how you make a sunflower.
Imitate nature's solutions. In this activity, you and a group of friends will create and play a card game that pairs natural solutions with real-world problems. You will need erasable colored pencils, crayons, markers, index cards or cardstock in 2 different colors, scissors. Create! Today, you will design an innovation card game inspired by nature. Start by creating at least 24 color-coded cards. On one set of cards, sketch symbols and words that show 1 real-world problem per card. On the other set of cards, sketch or write possible solutions that come from plants, animals, and the environment. Next, label the back of the cards by type, either problem opportunity or natural inspiration. Now, turn them sketched side down and randomly pull a card from each set to form unlikely pairs. Connect. To play the game, team members help each other figure out ways to connect a card from each set to describe a STEAM problem and possible solution. You can trade cards with other players and research topics to learn more about natural solutions. Imitating nature is a great way to solve problems. How could studying bees help humans build stronger structures? How do desert creatures store water, and could people use this to solve water shortages during droughts? Present. Present your ideas to other STEAM teams or family members. Respond. Respond to others' ideas with enthusiasm and additional suggestions. Sketch ideas to help others see what you are thinking. Nature is an outstanding problem solver. To create everything imaginable, STEAM teams observe and imitate nature's elegant solutions.
The first part of drawing a house is pentagon shape. First we draw our rectangle, a triangle on top. There is our front of our house. Then we're going to add our roof, which is a slanted rectangle or rhombus on the side of the house. We have another rectangle on the other side of the birdhouse. We can add our door, which is like a rectangle with a semicircle on top. Our window in between the door and the roof, a circular window. We have our open door because we're going to draw a birdie as well in the book. Tab uses a hammer and some nails. So we're going to draw some nails under the birdhouse. We have a bird feeder, sort of similar shape to the door, just upside down. So another rectangle shape with another semicircle. And then we'll add the post. Maybe we should draw the bird last. The bird comes after you build the birdhouse. So we are still building our birdhouse. You want to draw a long line, the stand, which holds the birdhouse up. You want to draw a squiggle, sort of like a backwards S, which is where we will hang the birdhouse from. And then we can draw the bird. So the bird has a round head, similar to the window, and a triangle beak and a round body. You can still see all our lines. You can use your eraser, or rubber, and rub out all our sketch lines. Let's give the bird an eye. Nice circular eye for the bird and a smiley beak. And then for the window, we want to add plus shape, plus symbol, just to show that it's a window. And then we'll get to the background afterwards. We're going to add some plants around here, so sketch in some bushes. Now that we have our sketch complete, I think we can start to add some colour. Birdhouse is made of wood. You can use nice brown colour. Leave out the windows and the door and the bird. You can also use the side of the marker, which will help you make thicker strokes. You can use any colour you'd like for the bird, because birds come in all sorts of colours. In the book, the bird is yellow, but I am going to use blue. Now we can go in with a darker colour. I'm going to use dark brown. Should also be a finer tip so that we can do our outlines. So you can use the side of it to draw your stand, which is going to hold the birdhouse up, and then a backwards S, a circle, and you can follow your sketch lines. Or just pretend you're drawing outside all your different shapes. You can draw some circles inside the bird feeder to represent all the seeds that Mr. Folks and Tab have left for the birds to eat. And we have our happy bird in our birdhouse.
Hi, I'm April. Welcome to Creativity Tips. Today's session is on gratitude cards. We all experience a wide range of emotions that impact our well-being. Maybe you received a kind note from a friend, or you help your sibling with their homework. How did that make you feel? Expressing gratitude activates positive emotions that impact you and others. For this activity, you will create a gratitude card. You will need paper, scissors, glue, pencils, and markers. First, let's draw 3 flowers. Color and cut them out. Ready for a creativity tip? Fold a white sheet of paper in half and make a small cut. Unfold the paper and insert flowers in the cut. Glue flowers to paper. Next, glue the white paper to the construction paper and fold in half. Draw and cut a wavy line along the top and bottom of the card. Decorate the outside of the card and don't forget to write a special note of gratitude. Parents and teachers, subscribe to Crayola Learning's YouTube channel and follow on social media for more colorful, creative content. Thank you for letting your ideas shine. Stay colorful with creativity tips.
So let's draw a bird's nest together. I like to start by drawing the stick that the bird is going to sit on. And it's really cool that you could create a little piece of art using simple shapes. For the bird's nest, I'm creating a cup nest. So that's like a little basket that sits right on top of the stick. Now the bird's nest has a baby bird in it. I like to do a little circle kind of leaning out. And of course, birds have hungry mouths, asking for food, and big cute eyeballs. Now, for the nest, that needs a little more detail. Like I said before, a cup nest is like a little woven basket. So let's put a pattern in it that looks like a little basket weaving. I always like to use patterns whenever I can. I think it makes the art look really graphic and cool. What patterns do you see in nature that you could turn into a graphic pattern? Now, this bird looks hungry. And what do hungry birds do? Well, they make a lot of noise. So let's put a big old music note for this bird to cry out and go, "Give me a worm." Now, let's pick out how we're going to color in the stick. You know, when I think sticks, I think brown. I think that's a pretty obvious choice, but let's also think about some of the other colors that we can sort of see on a piece of wood or on a tree trunk. So brown is the start, but maybe let's incorporate a little orange, maybe a little red, maybe some green later as moss. So by doing this, you could create something that looks a little more fancy, and also you could really play with blending in the colors together to create something new. Now, when you're out in nature, what sort of colors do you see, and how can you incorporate that into your work? This nest right here, I think this is inspired by a hummingbird's nest. Hummingbirds make their nests out of all these teeny tiny materials like spider silk and thistle and little pieces of dried leaves and moss. So I like to try to incorporate those sorts of colors into the nest while I'm coloring. I really do like to explore the areas where my subjects will be alive in the wild. So when I was hiking around and watching these bluebirds hatch, I noticed that, when they're first born, they're actually kind of dull colors, but that doesn't mean that we have to color them in dull for this sort of illustration. I think we should have fun, and you should color this bird in however you want. And as the birds mature, they molted and their feathers fell out, and then they became the very bright blues and oranges that you think of when you think of a bluebird. Now this hungry mouth seems to be crying out, so let's really create some color bursts right there, and voila! We've created a bird's nest together.
So in Piper Chang's saying, she feels these butterflies dancing in her tummy in multiple situations and occasions. And there's different ways and different instances to feel those butterflies, but they do come from a child's imagination. So when I created them, I really wanted to make sure to make them look like they weren't true and realistic butterflies, but very sort of magical ones. And the great thing about making art is that you can't make mistakes, and it's a lot of fun to explore and experiment with different materials. So I've used, in this case, oil pastels and watercolor pencils because they actually show up very nicely on oil pastel. So I'm gonna get messy here and even use my fingers to draw. So first I'm gonna start with the shape of the wings. And I can go pretty crudely, you'll see. I don't even need to fill up everything. Why? Because I can just smudge like that. And it has a very cool effect of transparency and fuzziness, and it makes them look kind of dreamy, like they literally came out of your imagination, you know, they dreamed them up. And now I can do the body with a watercolor pencil. And let's put some detail in the wings. They look pretty plain right now. So maybe I'll do some circles and try to make them symmetrical on both sides. Good. And I want you to remember too, when you do make your own art, what I'm showing you right now is just a suggestion, is to inspire you. And I want to make sure that you have fun and really draw butterflies the way you would picture them in your own imagination. Maybe there's one that's blue and really big with pointier wings. Loosely going in, filling in the white, and then smudging. It's really fun to feel the material that you're using under your fingers. There you go. And then you do the body. And maybe I'll use some yellow, like see how that looks. Wow. Trying new things is all about discovering new ways of creating art. You can come up with things that you wouldn't even anticipate. Maybe I'll put some orange. There. And then I've done some extra ones here. You can see them. I cut them out. And then I can just glue them with some glue here. And so you can do glue, you can even do tape, whatever you have on hand. And now I have like butterflies that feel like they're coming out of the page.